Hey guys, just got back from seeing the Evil Dead remake. This has obviously been a movie I've been looking forward to for a while. Um, Even though I had my hesitance about it, uh, especially since the original Evil Dead, is one of my all-time favorites. But before I get into that review of the movie, I want to talk about something. Obviously, as pretty much everybody knows, yesterday we lost to Roger Ebert, who I was a hero of mine. I grew up watching Siskel and Ebert. I love Siskel. I used to watch it all the time when I was little in the '90s, and they got me into wanting to become a critic of film. A film critic, obviously, a critic in film, a film critic. Um, and I always loved their bickering. I loved their dynamic. It was always great. I loved Ebert. I love the fact that Ebert, even up until a week before he died, it was doing reviews and doing what he loved, and that was watching movies and talking about them. And I think that's really awesome. I think if anybody could do, and not a lot of people can, do what they love. Neighbor got to do that up to the day he died. That's pretty awesome, man. Um, it's really sad. I mean, everybody, the whole, the movie world and critique movie critic world is really upset about this. I am too. I was sad when I first heard about it. I was all hyped up about Evil Dead, and I even made a joke. I was like, I haven't, I was looking on Rotten Tomatoes, going, well, what the hell? I was like, I haven't seen a review from Ebert about Evil Dead, and I was expecting like a scathing review, and I was like, where's Ebert's review? I've seen all his negative reviews that were coming in late, and I was like, where's it? Ebert's, and then next thing I knew, pops up, rest in peace, Roger Ebert, and I'm like, no, what? I was like, oh my god, what the? My excited, me being excited about Evil Dead kind of was drowned by the fact that I lost a hero of mine. It's really sad. You know, he was a great critic. He was probably one of the greatest critics of all time. Um, and obviously, I never agreed everything with everything of all of his reviews, obviously, and that was fine. You didn't have to always agree with him. Um, but like somebody said, he said he even when he didn't like a movie, he told you why he didn't like it for a good, elegantly and in a pretty damn good way. He usually had good points, even though if he never agreed with all of them. But anyways, he's gonna be missed. He was a hero, like I said, hero of mine, and I am very sad about it. Um, he's one of the reasons why I started doing stuff like this, because I saw how fun it was when I watched Siskel and Ebert to talk about movies, and especially when you you're passionate about a movie, you're either be it that you hate it or love it, they always, both of them always had a passion about movies, and I always kind of had one too. Um, and anyways, let's get from go from that downer to talking about Evil Dead. Now, obviously, like I said, I've been looking forward to this movie, even though I love the original Evil Dead, and I actually got a chance to watch the original Evil Dead right before I saw the remake, and the movie still holds up a hell of a lot, especially when it comes to the practical effects in the movie. It's still a really damn good flick. I know people always talk about how silly the Evil Dead movies are, but if you watch the original Evil Dead, it's mostly a pretty good, creepy horror flick. Yeah, it has its intensely funny moments, but it's for the most part a pretty good, solid creepy horror flick. Um, it has some of the best, gore effects that still, I think, are the standard bearer when it comes to effects, gore effects, and it's pretty sad when a lot of the gore effects in that movie look a lot better than a lot of the gore effects in the movies nowadays. And that's mainly because they rely so much on CGI. Um, when I first heard, like I said, when I first heard the remake of Evil Dead, I was not very happy. Even though that Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell were producing, and Sam Raimi picked the director, I was still worried. Of course, I saw the trailers, and I was really hyped after I saw the trailers. But at the same time, I was like, oh god, I just had this bad feeling that it was gonna still suck. And then, of course, the reviews started coming in from South by Southwest Festival when people got their first chance to see it, and the reviews were pretty solid, even from the horror critics, especially from the horror critics who really gave it a lot of praise. They said it was a lot of fun, and so my hopes began to get higher and higher and higher as the months went by, and to the point that today I was really hyped. Up to today, I was really hyped to see this movie. And so, coming out, do I love it or hate it? Well, this movie is, I will say this right out the bat, it's nowhere near the original. It's not even close to being as good as the original, in my opinion. But honestly, this is a a solid flick, and it is also a lot of fun. I had a blast watching this movie in a theater, especially with the fact that I got to see it with a crowded theater. I don't know if this movie was sold out, but it was pretty close to being sold out. One of the things I liked about this movie, there's two main things I loved about this movie. One is the fact that is the main girl in this movie, Mia, who plays Mia, who's played by Jane Levy. She's pretty good in this flick. I mean, she's no Bruce Campbell. She's the lead actress in this movie, and obviously she's no Bruce Campbell. I mean, it's hard to even compare to Bruce Campbell, as Bruce Campbell is just one charismatic SOB, and who doesn't love Bruce Campbell? But she holds her own, and the stuff they put this girl through, for God's sake, is pretty insane. They put this girl for the ringer. They do some crazy shit to this girl, and she takes it like a champ, and I like that. And there was an article about her talking about how she had the hardest job on set. I can see that. That is a definite. There's no doubt about that. She had the hardest job on set, and I think she did a really good job. The other thing, obviously, when this movie was being made, one of the main concerns was that there was that they were going to use CGI blood instead of practical effects, practical blood and gore, and because of that, it was going to be terrible, and it was going to suck. The effects were going to look terrible, and like I said, I was really worried. I had a brain fart. I like everybody was worried about whether they were going to use CGI blood and gore, and that was obviously kind of those worries were stopped when the director came out and said there was gonna be no CGI, and he even blatantly said that people that use CGI are lazy and cheap, which I loved, which is kind of true, and it's basically taking the lazy way out, to use CGI, and that he promised that all the effects in this movie are practical. Well, I'm here to tell you, from seeing this movie, other than I swear the probably the only scene that has CGI is except a couple other scenes. The only scene I could think of that actually really had, I think, CGI was the scene in the opening where the girl gets burned alive, and it looked pretty CGI, but it was fine. But for the rest of the movie and the rest of the gore and a lot of the other gross out effects, they're all practical. And because of that, they look terrific, and they look gruesome, and they look disgusting, and they remind me of the old days of the original and like the great practical effects, and they look impressive. I don't know if they're. I think they're up there with the effects of the original, and being that they, like I said, they're really impressive, and I think this should be a lot of horror directors should take note that the use of practical effects is not a bad way to go, and that a lot of people should start using that or start going that route more often. I'm hoping that happens, but I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch. Listen, I really love the effects in this movie. They were really good. They're really gruesome, and this movie is a gore fest. Towards the end, it gets really crazy with the gore. It is definitely a very gory movie, to say the least. It's not. I mean, I wouldn't say that this is the goriest movie I've ever seen. I've heard people say, "Oh, this is the most gruesome, goriest movie ever." No, but I don't think this people ever seen Dead Alive, for God's sake. If they're saying that, they never seen Dead Alive, for God's sake. Dead Alive's a great movie. Hopefully they never remake that. But the other thing I like that there are a lot of nods to the original, and if I hadn't watched the original right before I saw the remake, probably wouldn't have caught a lot of them. I like the fact that I like the fact that even though there are a lot of nods to the original, they're not very blatant. Although they pretty much use the same cabin in the original, which I believe they did that on purpose because I believe this is supposed to take place 30 years after the original, and that this is kind of like a sequel to the original film and not like a remake. This is kind of being treated as a sequel and not a remake, and I could see that. It has the same cabin, the same swing that's in front of the cabin. I think it even has the cars. I think somebody said there's the car from the original movie in the movie. I think it is there. I think I remember. I like that some of them were wearing Michigan State shirts. And there's the necklace from the original movie that Bruce Campbell gives his girlfriend that makes an appearance. I like that. There was like little nods, and there were some lines from the original movie. There was everything else. I mean, it wasn't very blatant. It wasn't pounding you over the head with it. And yes, there's the infamous tree rape scene is in this movie. There is a remake of that, and it's not as subtle as the original. Let's say that. At least the original was a little bit more subtle. This one just whoop, goes right up her hoo. That sounds funny saying that. It just goes. It just goes right up there. They don't show it graphically, or they don't show the whole thing full. I mean, the girl ain't full nude or anything. Luckily, they didn't do that. But that would have been more graphic. They would have had to definitely got an NC-17 rating if they did that. But the bad things about this movie, the main problem with this movie is that other than Mia, all the rest of these characters are effing stupid. They're the dumbest characters. They follow about every cliched dumb character in horror films that you see now, that you ever see. They're, God, they're so stupid. There's some really stupid decisions made by these characters, especially the brother, the main brother in this movie. Towards the end, he makes some really stupid decisions. I was like, you are the dumbest motherfucker that ever lived. You deserve to fucking die. I was like, I was yelling at the screen, you deserve to die. You are stupid. I was literally yelling at the screen. I didn't get yelled at for saying that, but literally, you are. Although I'll give them points, they didn't go the route that I thought they were going towards the end. I thought they were going a really dark route, and I was actually really expecting that, but they didn't. The guy who finds the book, the college high school teacher or whatever, he basically is supposed to be the smart one out of the group, and it's the one who's figuring out what's going on. But you know what? This jackass is the one that reads from the book. It basically says the book, the Book of the Dead says, do not read, do not trace, do not read from this book. It says in big bold letters. But what does this guy do? He just reads from the book, and because of that, the demons come. He's the freaking sole reason behind all of this. And it's like, at least in the original, they played an audio tape of a guy talking about the book, and because of that, the guy reads the chant, and because on the audio tape, and because of that releases the demons. At least it's not through the fault of the characters who are stupid enough and read the book. At least the characters are not stupid enough to read the book. Although they are stupid in the original for listening to the whole audio tape when it's obvious that, this is kind of some spooky shit going on in this audio tape. I mean, I would have turned it. They should have turned it off in the original freaking movie, but I don't know. Anyways, it's more stupid that this guy, he just basically reads from the freaking book. He writes it down basically, or traces like the lettering in the book and reads what the lettering says, and because of that, it releases the demons, and he's the sole reason why this freaking movie happens. And honestly, it might the only one that like felt like the Book of Dead was just a big plot convenience. It basically showed. I don't remember this, but it just basically became like Final Destination. The book was like Final Destination, where it showed the different ways some of the characters died or mutilated themselves. And it was really weird. They had an actual picture of a girl getting raped by a tree in the book. I don't remember that from the original. Yeah, there was a picture in the book of a girl getting raped by a tree. What the hell? That was kind of weird. I don't know. It's I felt like the book was more of a plot convenience, and it felt like some of the stuff was ripping off, even like ripping off The Exorcist, like the girl in the cellar. Mia, when she becomes the girl in the cellar, kind of looks more like the Reagan from The Exorcist. Am I the only one that noticed that when I saw that? I even saw that in the trailers. I'm like, that kind of looks like a rip-off of Reagan from The Exorcist when she becomes like demon. Kind of looked weird. Like I said, just the characters are so stupid. Some of the decisions made in this movie are so stupid. Especially when the brother has a chance to destroy the demon by basically destroying his sister, and he is very hesitant about doing it. I'm sorry, if my sister is possessed by a freaking demon, her ass is dead. I'm sorry, Tiff, if you're watching these videos, your ass is dead. I don't care. You're possessed by a demon. I am not. It's so stupid. I don't know. I do like also they do basically a hopscotch or a hot potato of the demon does hot potato from one person to the other like an original. Although it's kind of more random in this, and also it's really weird at the end. When you think this movie just kind of ends, I was like, wow, I thought this movie was over at one point. And then it's all of a sudden at the end, they have to throw in like a third act final fight for no apparent reason. Honestly, that didn't need to be in there. It was gory and there was some pretty impressive gore in it. Yeah, but it didn't need to be in there. I felt like it was just pretty much tacked on and felt out of place. It could have ended. I felt the movie could have ended like right before that, but whatever. Even for it as faults, I don't mind it at all. Oh, and obviously, if you were a fan of the original, if you're like me, you were wondering. I was wondering the whole time going into this movie, into the months of hype, whether Bruce Campbell was going to make a cameo or not. And originally, from what I've been told, and I'm just going to tell you right now, what was being said was, I read a couple of days ago, was that there was a scene shot with him, and it was supposed to be at the end of the credits where he ends up coming across one of the sole survivor of the film, and basically he just makes a cameo, and it's pretty awesome. And he says his famous line, "Groovy," and I was told that there was conflicting reports of as to whether or not he was gonna be in this at the end of the credits. The scene was gonna be at the end of the credits. I will tell you this: it's not at the end of the credits. I was told though that he had to stay at the end of the credits. I was still expecting though that this scene would be in the end of the credits. But what we got, well, it's not that. It's the one of those blink and you'll miss. And yes, Bruce Campbell makes an appearance at the very end credits. It's a very, very short, but it's just it was just basically fan service. It's kind of funny. I know I'm kind of spoiling it for people, but it's completely random. It was like, what was the point of that? It was just like, it was dumb. It was complete fan service. I thought the scene that they originally shot was a not good idea, because supposedly these movies this is supposed to be a sequel, and that there's going to be a sequel to this movie, and then there's going to be a sequel to Army of Darkness, and then eventually the roles from this remake and the role from the original films are going to meet together for like a 7th movie. I like that idea. And I think if they would have gone the route they did with the end credit scene at that they originally planned, I think it kind of could have set the seeds for that. But they didn't, and they had a random cameo at the end credits of Bruce Campbell. I know I'm kind of spoiling it for you, but yeah, if you want to see it, go ahead. But I wouldn't. I don't know if I would recommend staying at the end of the credits just to see it. It's so random, and it's complete fan service. I know people. I think they said that the scene they felt was out of place. But I felt this was more out of place than that scene. That was really out of place. That was just like, that was random and just didn't need to be in there. But it was kind of cool to see Bruce Campbell. But if you see the scene, you'll know what I mean. I think there was even an image of that scene in out there online. So you see it, you'll yeah. If you're curious, go to stay at the end of the credits. You can. Um, Man, I'm making a long review. I'm sorry if I'm rambling. Sorry if I sometimes don't make sense. I'm tired. Like I said, I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's nowhere near as good as the original. I, yeah, like I said, this movie had faults like the fact that it had some really dumb freaking characters, but it also was helped out a lot by the fact that it was definitely done practically, and the effects were done practically, and and a lot of and there was a lot of good stuff. I think the good stuff outweighed the bad, and because I had a good flick. I wasn't. It was a very short a very short hour and a half. It didn't feel long. By the time I looked at my clock at one point, I was getting in the movie and I looked at my clock. I was like, "Holy crap! This movie's almost over." Shit! I was like, "Oh, this." You know what? I was like, you know what? I like that. You know, it didn't feel like a long sit, and it was a good. It felt like a very fast hour and a half. You know, and if you're a fan of the original, I can see why some people are not gonna like it. That are fans of the original. I don't blame you if you didn't, but I found enjoyment out of it. I had a fun time, and if I have a fun time, I gotta recommend it. So yeah, go see it, especially if you're a fan of the original and are curious. I would like to know if you are a fan of the original and have seen it. Let me know what you think. I'll be back next week with what 42? Yeah, 42. The Jackie Robinson biopic, which is next week. Should be good, hopefully. So that's this, and this has been my longest review, and I'm going to bed now. So see you guys next week.